Hi everyone, welcome back, and I've got a couple of reviews for you today from a company called Fragrenza. Fragrenza are based over in the States and they do copy type fragrances, what you might call clones or dupes, but they also have their own line of fragrances as well, their own original fragrances. I have previously said quite recently I'm just not that into clones. That still stands. However, Fragrenza are the only brand, clone type brand, that have a fragrance that I really love, and that's their copy of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. I'm usually just not into clones, but unfortunately Lost Cherry, the original by Tom Ford, fell very flat on my skin. Once you get past the first 20 minutes of voluptuous, rich, gorgeous cherryness, then it just falls really flat and kind of just goes a bit woody and sweet. Whereas Fragrenza is full on, sweet, rich, and has depth all the way through, and it lasts really well on my skin. I've had compliments. I have friends that love it now. I've ended up giving decants away to friends and they've texted me and told me that they wore it on a night out and still smell it the next morning and absolutely love it. So because of that particular fragrance, I feel like Fragrenza might be a house that I'm a little bit more on board with. And there's another reason why I quite like the perfumes, is that they don't seem to leave an oily slick on your skin. So often with the clone houses, they leave this big oil slick when you spray them on your skin, and I really hate that. And I find also that they can be obnoxious, they can lack any scent development, and or they can just like jump. So you get the opening notes usually are a little bit off from the original fragrance that you might know, and then when they'll just suddenly jump and jostle, the notes will suddenly get to be like the fragrance they're trying to be like. But there's always something that's not, in my mind anyway, there's always something that's not quite right, and I don't ever feel like wearing those kind of fragrances. They just feel a little bit loud, they can be very abrasive or just too much, too strong, and that oil slick really does bother me. So the thing with Fragrenza that I've noticed, or certainly the fragrances I've tried, I can't speak for all of the fragrances, but the few that I've tried don't leave that oil slick, and they seem to have a gentle, proper perfume development, so they feel a bit more like a proper perfume, which is probably why I'm absolutely okay with them. And they sent me these two fragrances that I'm going to talk about today. We've got Adeline, which if you jumble those letters around, you'll find is an anagram for Delina, and it is an inspired perfume, or it says it smells somewhat like Delina from Parfums de Marly. And then the other one I've got is Velvet Peach, which is their original creation, their own creation. It is not a dupe for Tom Ford's Bitter Peach. It is their own thing. So let's talk about them. So we will start with Adeline. So they come in boxes like this. It's like a box within a box here. Actually, it's almost like 3 boxes. All the bottles look the same. Fingerprint magnets, these ones, and yeah, they all look like this. Very opaque, so I don't think you can really see through to see what's left in the bottle. And a simple black sticker on the front. That's it. It's very simplistic. The lid is like that. It's not magnetic, just a normal lid. You might not always want to pick it up by the lid, just in case it loosens over time. So that one's Adeline. It's an eau de parfum. We've got notes of lychee, rhubarb, bergamot, nutmeg, rose, lily of the valley and peony, vanilla, white musk, cashmere, woods and frankincense. The fragrance is currently $59.99 as it's on sale. I think the usual price is $69.99. It's currently on sale, and you can also get 5 ml samples just under the $10 mark. So with Adeline, I'm covered in perfume at the moment, so I've got Adeline on my knee, would you believe it? And I wanted to retest the theory actually. I wanted to spray quite a lot and just double check that it doesn't leave an oil slick. Now you will see a little glisten of oil when you spray it if you let it dissipate, or you may just have a tiny bit that you could just gently rub in if you really spray a lot. So on my knee here has been on for about 10 minutes. Now with this, when you first spray it, I get a little bit of By the Fireplace from Maison Margiela, and I also get something similar to Baccarat Rouge. It's kind of like the same thing. I think that there's a note in common there with those two fragrances, and possibly then the original Delina. Unfortunately, I don't have Delina to compare it in side by side. I've only smelt Delina in shops, so I just couldn't tell you how good it is, how close it is. But to my nose, I get this sort of By the Fireside / Baccarat Rouge burnt sugar woodsy type scent. There's a little bit of a sharpness in here which might be coming from the rhubarb, and it's also a little bit peachy. It's got a sort of a fresh and sharp undertone, and it also feels a little bit smoky, like I said, a bit like By the Fireplace. It takes a little while before the rhubarb really takes hold to my nose. The rhubarb really takes takes a hold about an hour in, and you can smell it along with the woods and the vanilla, and it's still sugary and there's still a light smokiness, and there's just this hint of peachy nectar underneath, and there's just a rosy feel sort of throughout mid to base with this one. It's definitely a fruity floral that teeters towards gourmand. It's more fruity floral, but because of the sugar and the vanilla, it just, as I say, it just teeters towards gourmand. I get 8 hours plus, and it's not quite my thing, if I'm honest with you. But then when I smelt Delina in the shop, it wasn't my thing either. I think it's because it's quite strong with the rhubarb and the woods, and it's kind of dry. When fragrances go quite dry, they just don't really do it for me. It's not completely dry, it's not arid, it's not bone dry, but I feel like the tartness of that rhubarb kind of sucks the moisture out, and then on top of a little bit of smoke and woods, just goes a bit dry for my taste. But it's a pretty fragrance for sure. It's probably quite mass appealing, and I think overall it's well done. It doesn't smell like a cheap clone, or it doesn't smell like a cheap celebrity scent. It's a well done fragrance, well balanced with a good development. So that's Adeline, and then we're going to move on to Velvet Peach. So it comes in the same box, of course, exactly the same bottle, and simply says Velvet Peach there rather than Adeline, of course. And notes on Velvet Peach: white peach, apple blossom, blood orange lemon, red pepper, tuberose, orange zest, ylang ylang, patchouli, tonka, vanilla, musk and sandalwood. This one is $69.99, 60 mils. So this one's not on sale, but you can get a sample as well, which I think is about under the $10 mark again. Now this one is on my left knee. This one, I don't know why, but it takes me back to my childhood. So I've got what I wrote the other day when I was wearing it. It's orangey, fizzy. It's obviously peachy. It's peachy from the start. It's peachy all the way through, but it's not too thick, and it is sweet, but it's not syrupy sweet, although it does go a little bit syrupy at stages. But the orange, I think you've got orange zest. So of course, if you think about the exterior of an orange, is often known as the peel or the zest. Orange zest is kind of like bitter and fizzy and juicy all at once. So it's got that which counteracts the sweetness. So it's kind of like sweet and sour. So it's peachy, but it's also apricotty and orangey to me. It's all the orangey type fruits. It reminds me of, I think it's reminding me of a Bath product as a child, you know, you pour in the bath foam into the bath. I can't remember if there was a particular one, but it just takes me back to that. It's a bit, so as I say, it's kind of like sweets, fizzy sweets, but slightly sour and definitely fruity. It's very fruity. It does, to me, goes a little sickly, but then I find peach as a note sickly. I just don't particularly enjoy peach, and I do get kind of like a nectar-like feel from it. So like, I guess you'd say it's slightly syrupy nectar-like feel, rather than very fresh and natural. A little bit more like what you might get in a tin of peaches with the syrup, so like a bit of added sugar. It's fresh, and it kind of stays fresh all the way through. So even though it's a sweet fragrance, it's very much fresh and clean. It's almost like a shampoo type scent, actually, like a childhood shampoo. A freshly washed child has just had their hair washed with a pretty like peach coloured shampoo. It's kind of like that. So it's fresh, it's orangey, it's peachy, it's apricotty, it's clean, it's a little bit musky, and I don't really get a lot of development. I think the woods and the vanilla and the musks gently come through in the development, but it's all about the orangey fruits, like the peach, the apricot, the orange, pretty much all the way through. Very, very fresh and clean and innocent. The fragrance isn't for me simply because I don't really enjoy peach. I don't really enjoy any of those sort of like those kind of fruits, like apricot, peach, stone fruits in general. I don't always enjoy them. I might like a bit of plum here and there. Who doesn't like a plum here and there, right? But when it comes to the orange coloured fruits, I like actual orange, mandarin, the citrus orange fruits, but any other kind of orangey coloured fruits, they just aren't for me, just not my taste. So it's not for me, but if you like fresh and clean, innocent, fruity fragrances, and it does last very well for a fresh fragrance, again I get over 8 hours, then I think it might be worth checking out. So that one is called Velvet Peach. So that's my review then of those two fragrances from Fragrenza. Let me know if you've tried the brand. Have you tried my favourite one, Amarena Cherry? That is still 100% my favourite from the brand, and I will be thoroughly enjoying that one, particularly now the weather's getting a bit cooler, because it's got this real richness that I love, this rich cherry, almond, vanilla liqueur thing. So Amarena Cherry is my top pick from the brand, but that's my review of Adeline and Velvet Peach. Thanks for watching. Bye.